And I would like to give a warm welcome to all our special guests and obviously also to all the attendees. This session is about how to scale your digital workforce and how technology can help you with this. Duration will be around 30 minutes, and if time permits, we will do questions at the end of the session. So during the session, feel free to post your questions in the chat. And then at the end, we will try to go through them. Before we start with the session and the questions, let's maybe introduce our panel first. So Eric, do you maybe want to go first and introduce yourself and share a little bit about yourself and the company? Eric, I think
hosting this.
Yeah.
My name is Eric Lien. I'm the co-founder and CEO of RPA Supervisor. I've been working with Blue Prism since 2015, starting 3 different businesses, partnering up with Blue Prism, and had any role you can have, I think, in a Blue Prism setup in any organization. And based on those experiences, we started RPA Supervisor, which be happy to share more about later on.
Great, thank you so much, Eric. And Mike, would you like to go next?
Sure. Yeah. Hi, I'm Mike Laurenson. I joined RPA Supervisor as a board member in May last year. Prior to that, I was at Blue Prism for 5 years, having moved there from the analytics and data space. I moved there to help move the company from being a direct focus organization to being indirect. I led that globally for a period of time, and then moved on from Blue Prism at the end of 2019. And having known Eric for a long time prior to that, working through Blue Prism, he asked me to join the board to help expand out globally. So, and no looking back since then.
Great, thank you so much. And Wayne?
Hi. You can hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you fine, and we can see you. So all it's working now. Yeah.
Brilliant. Apologies for the slight delay. Wayne Pole from Cape Town, South Africa. I work for a company called MedScheme, Medical Scheme Administration and Managed Care. We're part of a bigger group called AfroCentric Health. I look after an intelligent automation team in our space. And our objective is to promote the digital transformation aligned to the strategic lever of our organization.
Great, thank you so much. And Kim?
Hi, good morning or good afternoon. My name is Kim Meredith, and I lead the RPA COE at Sysco. Sysco Foods, and we have been involved in RPA for about 3 years now, and using RPA Supervisor for about a year.
Great, thank you so much. And then Tony? Tony, can you hear us okay?
I can now. Yes.
Great.
Fantastic.
Maybe a few words about yourself, Tony, and the organization you work for.
Yes, certainly. Hello, everybody. My name's Anthony Robson. I head up the intelligent automation function at TJX. I've been working with TJX now for just over 10 plus years and been heading up the intelligent automation function for the past 4 years. We have been partners with Blue Prism for that length of time, and we recently, most probably a year and a half, 2 years ago now, started looking at the implementation of RPA Supervisor as an enhancement to enabling, enriching that capability as we move forward.
Great, thank you so much. And then a few words about myself. So Jennifer Herwijnen, I'm an associate partner in the firm based out of the Netherlands, and I head our sales organization for our alliances sales for intelligent automation for EMEA. So the conversation we wanted to have as part of this session today was really around some of the technical challenges we run into when we start doing hyper-automation. So I know some of you have joined our session this morning, which was a panel conversation around hyper-automation. We're now going to look a little bit about some of the more technical aspects around that, because what we see in a lot of the client conversations we're having, and as I said, a lot of us are in client-facing roles, and we're having these conversations on a daily basis. There are a couple of themes which are coming up in these conversations, and one is around the optimization of a digital workforce. So once you get past a point of maybe 50, 100 digital workers, how do you really optimize and how do you scale that digital workforce? How do you keep building the business case for adding more and more digital workers when required, because the workers are expensive? So obviously you need to build a business case for that. And an issue which comes up a lot as well is around reporting and billing. And especially what we see now is when originally COEs were built, they actually own the budget for all the digital workers and the automation basically. But what we really see now and more is a situation where actually that budget sits in the business and cross-charging needs to happen to the different lines of business basically for those automation projects. So that's a common issue we run into. A question which comes up a lot is how do you actually deal with peak loads and how do you make sure you have enough digital workers reserved to actually deal with peak loads? And also, how do you build resiliency? So how do you learn as quickly as possible when a digital worker stops working? And how do you actually restart that process without interruption, with minimum interruption if possible, basically? So those are some of the common themes we're running into in a lot of these conversations. So what I wanted to do first is maybe hand it over to you, Eric and Mike, and maybe you can give your perspectives on some of these issues, and maybe also kind of start why you actually started the journey with RPA Supervisor and why you founded the company.
Yeah, sure, Thierry. RPA Supervisor actually, it was born out of pain and frustration, really. So the founding team, we had well over 50 Blue Prism implementations between us, and we'd sold Blue Prism to all these organizations and was implementing it. And we quickly found out that they didn't actually work 24/7 without lots of supervision. It was difficult to get the right balance between the capacity, when they should perform the different tasks, and so on. So we went back to Blue Prism and said, can we do something about the control room? Can we make some improvements? Because our customers really want to scale, but they're struggling. They're putting too much effort into maintaining what they've got. So we had a few rounds, and it was actually Dave Moss, the founder of Blue Prism, who said, well, Eric, you know what the challenges are. You know what you want and what your customers want. So why don't you become a technical alliance partner and build your digital supervisor and work with our product team? And so that's what we did. And our goal was from the start to have a business-oriented digital workforce. So we turned the scheduling on its head. So we removed the need for scheduling and replaced it with SLAs. So now, supervisor, you just put in your business requirements for each process, and then the supervisor will assign which robot should be working on which process and item 24/7. And then, of course, you still need to fix the things that you mentioned earlier, Thierry. VDIs can go down, processes terminate, the frozen sessions, and so on. So that's also built in so that the supervisor takes care of all of that for you. So you get that stable platform, which optimizes the capacity you have and takes focus away from monitoring and managing to building new automations. And then, because you want insight to know what the robots are doing and what they're delivering, so we have added dashboards, lots of infographics to give you that information and give the right information to the right people. So it's all live, of course. but it's directed at, if you from the business, you get the information you want as a business or process owner. From IT, you get IT related, and the Center of Excellence get all of that. And then you get notifications if things go wrong, and so on. The last step in this whole area of challenges, dynamic integration or interaction. So making sure that your human workers, digital workers, and the rest of your IT system can speak together efficiently. And again, it's that SLA-based orchestration that really makes a difference. So that if you do have a chatbot, you get instant response. If you've got an AI engine that can tell you what the next best product for a customer is, then you need that information available as and when the customer is there and ready to buy.
Great. Thank you so much, Eric. Mike, any points you would like to add and build on top of what Eric just shared?
Yeah, just to reiterate some of those points, because I think what Eric referenced and obviously your opening bit are absolutely key to reiterate. I mean, the fundamental aspect of people going through the journey in terms of intelligent automation, everybody wants to be able to scale up, whether they got 2, 5, 10 digital workers wanting to go beyond that, whether it's 100 to 500, 500 to 1,000 and beyond. Every organization fundamentally wants to do it. Certainly all the ones I've been engaged with over the last 6 or so years. The challenge exists, along with all the points that Eric just mentioned, are around the actual barriers that prevent them from actually doing that. And that's effectively what Eric just articulated in terms of what those barriers are that we actually try to overcome. The other side is also around that availability piece. And we've referenced a number of the challenges. I know a number of the customers that we've all been involved with and some of the people using the solutions, particularly on the RPA front, are constantly in need of people to monitor what the digital workers are actually doing, and that's largely down to risk governance, etc. But automating that functionality immediately opens up the window of availability of all those digital workers. As Eric referenced, the 24/7 is something that we always spoke about. That's everybody's desire to be able to do it. But the reality is people aren't always available 24/7. That limits the availability of those digital workers. And that's something that fundamentally helps to shift those barriers, enable organizations to do a hell of a lot more with less capacity, I guess, from a human perspective. So by no stretch of the imagination are we or anybody trying to suggest, well, we can do so much more with less digital workers. The reality is you free those barriers up, you can do a hell of a lot more without necessarily building up such a significant operating force to be able to support it and support the business in a bigger way.
Great. Thank you so much. So thank you, Mike and Eric, for that. Let's move over to Wayne first. So Wayne, how do some of these points resonate for yourself and for MedScheme? Were these kind of the challenges you went through? So how, if you listen to this, how do you reflect on that for MedScheme?
It sounds like you guys wrote the script for me before we asked the question. So absolutely every point that's been made resonates. I think in our space, we've just gone through a rapid scaling, and we've added processes in the financial credit control space, which are extremely time sensitive, not only from an hourly perspective, but within the month itself. And this has brought home many of the challenges that you guys are alluding to. The scheduling, more importantly, the monitoring, and the 22/7, to be realistic, is a challenge. And very often we find services falling down at night after an update or maintenance has been done. And of course, you miss that production window. So that is a major challenge, as indicated. I think the other point raised is around reporting and the increased, as your change management takes effect in the business, the acceptance and the demand grows, and there's quite a critical review of how the digital workforce is performing compared to the human workforce. In fact, to such a degree now that we have a concept called single service measures, where the business unit functionality that we serve is weekly presented at our executive committee, and now so are the robots and their performance. It is critical that we're in a position to provide granular information quickly and effectively. The biggest problem in our space is the fact that you need humans to do that monitoring and scheduling. And they quite often your most experienced and knowledgeable people and have been there for most of the journey. And you want to free those guys up to deal with new solutions and queries and production queries that arise, and to be able to swiftly react to those. Instead, they're being sucked into just ensuring that you're assigning the correct capacity, and that you are dealing with the infrastructural issues, of course, which is another issue. Quite recently as well, our COO has actually put out the challenge to the intelligent automation team to say, how do you use intelligent automation to act as an early detection or warning sign for our IT colleagues? So those are some of the challenges, and quite like what we've heard thus far. Thanks.
Great, thank you so much, Wayne. Moving over to Kim for now. So Kim, what are your reflections on this? How are you leveraging the RPA Supervisor capabilities in your organization, and what are some of the innovation you were able to unlock using this tool set?
I would like to second what Wayne said. It's like you guys told our story. So we had the exact same pain points and problems. We can definitely relate to what other companies have been through that are in the same place that we are. But one point that I want to highlight is we had planned to start scaling out to the enterprise slowly over a period of time, right? Little did we know that there was a pandemic around the corner, and we had started working with RPA Supervisor when we were a smaller team. But the point that I want to make is that it was because of RPA Supervisor and the visibility, the SLA scheduling, the data points, just the management of our platform that allowed us to scale up from a small team to a very large team. We started with a team of 7, and we were supporting one area of our business, and now we're a team of over 50 supporting our entire enterprise across the country. So it was because of this platform that allowed us to be able to grow and expand in the critical capacity that we were suddenly faced with because of the pandemic.
Great, thank you so much. And Tony, for TJX, what was the impact of leveraging RPA Supervisor capabilities for TJX? Sorry, Anthony, I think you're on mute.
I've done that so many times today. So I think we all have gone on a similar journey with RPAs. You try to basically first get value and start to implement and grow.
Oh, I think we may have lost Anthony. Okay, I'm sure he will join shortly. Let's maybe Kim, if we can move back to you for a few minutes while Anthony is logging on again. What is your vision for the future, Kim? So how do you think you're going to build on top of this, and how you're going to expand this going forward? And I think you're on mute, Kim. I think we can hear you now, Kim.
You're muted now, yeah.
Okay, good. Thank you. Sorry, it wasn't allowing me to unmute. So your question was how we are planning to grow and expand. We were able to almost quadruple our bot production over the last year or so. We're going to continue to grow and expand. We're looking to start working outside of the country. We're going to, be potentially working with some of our specialty companies outside of the Americas. We need to be able to better provide a good customer experience for our customers, right? Both inside of our company and externally. So there's a potential we could start expanding to bots that are, interacting with our big C customers. Currently, we're just mostly internal right now. We have plans to, extend out into hyper automation, right? And all of that, what's involved there. It's being able to do those things without having to add large amounts of staff, being able to do those things effectively and efficiently are things that we're able to look forward to now because we have the insight into what is needed to maintain, the integrity that we have become known for with our bots. And it's most of that is because of Supervisor and the benefits that it is allotted to our team.
Great. Thank you so much, Kim. Anthony, let's go back to you because obviously we lost you for a few minutes. So we had an additional question to Kim. So the question, Anthony, was like, what kind of the journey you went on, and maybe sharing a little bit around how much time have you now been working with RPA Supervisor in your organization, and maybe what are some of the innovations you were able to unlock leveraging the tool set?
Yeah, certainly. So apologies, I got kicked out of the room for some reason, but now I'm back. So yes, we've got a similar journey to the rest of my colleagues on here. We started with RPA Supervisors, I say nearly 2 years ago now, as we started to try and realize some of the issues we were trying to get around ourselves with Blue Prism. Blue Prism in the way it does scheduling, its inability to do dynamic and ad hoc capabilities, as well as basically the visualization of the data and how your digital workforce is working. Basically we started to build out our own automation capability to do this type of functionality. And it was at Blue Prism World, I think, where we came across RPA Supervisor and realized some of the capabilities it would potentially deliver. And to be honest, it's what we were building ourselves. So we decided to actually take a look at RPA Supervisor and see whether they delivered what it stated on the tin, as it were. And we started to play and implement and start to improve. What I would say, it does everything it says, and it does it very, very well. An area most people don't realize that it also brings to the equation. Where we were building the automations ourselves, to build management of the infrastructure, management of the bots, the automation of the automation, as it were. What it allows us to do is actually optimize our Blue Prism licenses, because where to do this ourselves, we'd be utilizing Blue Prism licenses. Basically, RPA Supervisor takes that external to Blue Prism. So it allows us to optimize the value we have in our licensing model, as well as actually build in that capability from both, that automation piece to run the automations, whether it's in a dynamic fashion, whether it's a scheduled fashion, etc., but also give you additional visibility into what that digital workforce is doing. So it adds everything it says on the tin, but there is stuff there you wouldn't have thought about until you start to look at the product. And it really does add to the value of Blue Prism and how Blue Prism operates. So it enhances the overall model.
Great. Thank you so much. Can we go back to maybe for a few minutes to Wayne? Wayne, what are some of the key learnings you had? So if you need to give any advice to this group of people were listening in at the moment, like what would be your advice to this group?
I just want to clarify, so you're talking from a supervisor or just from the journey perspective?
Maybe more from a little bit of a broader perspective,
Yeah.
and how you see RPA Supervisor fit into that?
Yeah. So, I mean, one of our major challenges is that the group that we function in is pretty large, and it has varying industries in it, from pharmaceutical manufacturers to retailers, besides the medical schemes. And so one of our challenges is to actually get automation right across the group. Given the challenges that I spoke about earlier, that's why we've also embarked, we're pretty young in the RPA Supervisor journey. And for us, there are a couple of key factors, and hopefully this will help the group as well. You alluded earlier to the fact that we need to start charging out on a pay-as-you-go basis. So you pay for what you use. Initially, when we started the automation journey, it was very much a line of process to a Blue Prism license. That game, of course, is turned on its head with scaling and advances, and you now find that the game is optimizing the robotic capacity at hand to best meet the need. And so really like the concept of it being SLA based, so that you can move your resources around to optimally deliver ultimately to the customer requirement there. And we're hoping and praying, looking hard at Eric and Mike there, trying to hide behind their cameras, that the more granular information and the speedy provision of that information, which is often a problem, happens. And the other angle is part of the secret is ensuring that the business and the partners for which you're providing the automation, are also upskilling, understanding their digital workforce and partnering with you. And the power of that information quickly and speedily is very important in ensuring that you maintain the momentum of the change management throughout your organization. And that certainly has been a stumbling block. So we're certainly looking to that capability from the supervisor perspective. And then, as I mentioned too, our organization at the moment has a mania about dashboards. And again, if one can start feeding the digital workforce performance real time into organizational dashboards, it'll just be so much more powerful than having humans collate and put together management information, which is just tedious and a waste of their skill. So those are probably two of the key lessons, and we're hoping that Supervisor is going to make our life easier. I'm happy to hear from Anthony and Kim that it's working for them, so that's very positive for us as well.
Great. Well, I'm sure Eric and Mike are listening very careful. So yeah, so I'm sure that will happen, Wayne. So we're almost at the top of the half hour. We're actually 1 minute over, but I think we can run a little bit later. So I would love to turn it to the audience and ask people if there are any questions for our amazing panel. You can either ask them on the chat or feel free to unmute yourself and ask it live here in the session. So let's see if there are any questions from the audience. And otherwise, I will wrap it up. But there is a question from Julian Gray. Julian, can you be a little bit more specific? Is that for a specific person you want to ask that question, or in general?
It's about cost effectiveness of using the product.
Okay. Wayne, Anthony, any thoughts on that?
Yes, from my standpoint, one of the key decisions for us actually was basically our license optimization of Blue Prism. As I stated earlier, when we started, with some process where we're starting to use multi-bot capability, multi-threading, you're really starting to throw resources, at business processes to really deliver in the timescale that the business needs those processes to be scheduled within. Now, as you do that, to manage them, is you really start to scale up the amount of processes. And for us, this is global, so it really is across all divisions, all countries that we're in, and it becomes problematic. So basically, for us to actually maximize the value of the Blue Prism license, we actually started to use RPA Supervisor to dynamically schedule resources. So as one process completes a series of work, it can move those digital workers to another process and then bring them back to a process to complete it when it does the steps it's walking through. So not only are we actually maximizing value through your releasing Blue Prism licenses from doing the automation of the automation, as I referred to earlier on, but we're also dynamically allocating our resources to where the need is through the capability that RPA Supervisor brings.
Great. Thank you so much, Anthony. Let's wrap up with the last question. Claire, you had actually asked, how do you implement RPA Supervisor? Kim, Wayne, any thoughts from you on that, or maybe even from Eric and Mike? Maybe Wayne, you're smiling, so do you maybe want to take that one?
Yes, happy to do that. So obviously in collaboration with the RPA Supervisor team, we looked at a 3-month pilot process where we obviously go through the learning process and then steadily go through a phased rollout of your processes. The key is to deliver the value related to the previous question as well, and to prove that quite quickly. So certainly, even to add to Anthony's points, just the saving on the human resources in your control room probably ends up paying for RPA Supervisor. But just from back to the implementation component, it's critical again that you phase it, monitor it, make sure it's working, it's pretty simple. It's not a difficult process, and as I've said, we're probably just a month into it, it's been pretty straightforward.
Great, thank you so much. I think this brings us to the end of the session. So I would love to thank our...
Can I interrupt?
Sorry,
just one thing I would like to say that sort of hasn't been stated here.
Of course.
RPA as a company, we deal with a lot of companies. RPA Supervisor have been extremely good in collaboration and listening to the views of the customer for enrichment of the product. And from basically when we're all on a journey like this, that is core to being able to really deliver what you need. I wanted to make sure we got that point across because I think it's fundamental to anybody starting on this journey to have partners that are working with them, to enable the capability that's needed.
No, and I can only echo that, Anthony. We worked on a few implementations together with Eric and Mike, and that's absolutely the experience we got as well. So yeah. With that, let me wrap it up. Thank you all for attending. Thank you to all the panelists, and thank you for all the attendees for listening in. So really appreciate it, and have an amazing rest of your day and a great session. Thanks everyone.
Thanks, all guys. Thank you.